Okay, I've had a lot of requests for the barbecue pit grill. The grill is made out of foam board, so I will walk you through how I was able to build that out. So, what you will need is your templates. Templates have three parts. This is for the top and bottom that forms the dome of the no, I shouldn't say the dome, but the cylinder shape of the grill. So you'll need to cut two of these out of your foam board. You'll need to cut two of these out. These would be for your legs, and yes, this is the letter A, but it works perfect for the legs for the stand. And you will need um, so it's a full circle. You can cut it as a circle or you can fold it in half. I find that folding it in half and tracing it out on the foam board just as a half works best for me, but whatever works for you, go ahead and do that. In any case, you will need four of the half shapes. So if you decided to cut it into a full circle, trace out two circles and then cut those in half so you'll have four sides altogether. So I will not go through tracing and cutting. I believe that's self-explanatory. So when you have all of your pieces cut out, it will look like this. These are both of the legs. And these legs here are kind of small. This is what I started out with. I have a couple of requests to, a couple of orders for these. So I'm going to continue with the smaller legs because those are what they saw. But I think I kind of like the bigger legs, and that is what I use to make the template. So you guys will receive the larger legs, and those are more sturdy. So you'll have two legs. You have four of the half shaped circles, and then you will have two of these, two of your foam boards. So for your foam boards, in order the square, the two that forms the cylinder shape, you will score those. That is how I was able to get it to be in the shape of a cylinder. So what you want to do is take your ruler. Oh, you know what? I have not gone over all of the material you need. I'm sorry. You need a good ruler. I prefer the metal ruler because it gives clean cuts. You'll need a good knife. I got this from Dollar Tree, and it is so good that I cut a piece of finger off the side, a piece of skin off the side of my finger. Cut a nice little chunk. So be careful with that. You'll need your hot glue gun, a lot of glue sticks. You'll need a wooden dowel, and this comes in a pack of 10 from Walmart. You'll need two small little squares, and you can get that in a pack, I believe, of 12 at Dollar Tree. You'll need a hinge. I started out with smaller hinges from Amazon, but I'm finding that I like the sturdiness of this hinge here. This is a 3-inch gate hinge, and I got this from Harbor Freight. So um, it just depends on what you prefer. But I think I like the larger one more. So you will also need one of these. You can get this out of your Reynolds wrap. Don't use tissue or paper towel rolls because those are flimsy. You want it to be nice and sturdy. So, all right. So after you have everything cut out, you then want to work with your top and bottom of the grill. I've already pre-prepped this. What you want to do is score lines across the long, lay your part out the long side facing you, and that is how you want to do all of your scoring. So score, make sure you don't go all the way through. This works best if you have a very good sharp blade, but again, remember not to go through. And I've already prepped it because I'm not going to make you watch me score both of these. It's kind of time consuming. So that is that all scored. This is what it will look like. I hope you can see the lines. But once you have it scored, you will then flip it over to the unscored side. Got old glue stuff on there. And you want to just manipulate the board and roll it. And this will allow you to form that dome shape. On this side. Don't worry if you don't get them all to pop and bend. That's fine. You'll still be able to get the dome shape. Like I don't have a lot of them. A lot of them didn't do it, but you'll still get the dome shape. And especially when you start putting it together, it'll just naturally form to that shape. Like I said, I've already pre-prepped both of them. Did both of these off camera just to speed this video up. All right. So once you have done that, it is time to start putting this together. So you flip it on the unscored side. You take one of your half circles and you want to start to glue in the corner here. You want this corner to meet that corner. And you want it very close to, you want the edge flush. You want those flush when you start to glue. Start out by putting just a little bit of glue because you want to get it to hold. And I find once you have that set, it's a lot easier to glue it and fold it up. You'll see the process once I get started. Make sure that you glue this as close as possible to the edge because you want that to be a flat surface on the edge there. I highly recommend using Gorilla Glue sticks. I use some other glue. I won't name the brand, but I used a couple of different ones and they did not work out very well for this particular project. So once you have it stuck on there, you will then start just putting a bead of glue in a line as close to the edge as possible. So it's best if you do a little bit at a time, roll it up, let it dry and stick, and then continue. Um, I tried to do it as a long bead across and just roll it, and that did not work out. So take your time because you want this to be very clean once you get it done. And it loses its visual value if it's uneven. As you're rolling it up, make sure you're pressing down on it. You don't want to have gaps in between the boards and the glue. You don't want that to happen because that will not allow it to close evenly. The very first one that I did, I made that mistake and that thing did not close even at all, and you want it to be even. So also this foam board that I'm using, I highly recommend that if you're gonna build this, don't use the Dollar Tree boards. Go to Hobby Lobby and get their boards because this board is way more sturdier um, and stronger, and it holds better to me than the Dollar Tree boards. Um, I started out using Dollar Tree boards last year. I did the vending machine last year for a couple of people, and it was a complete game changer once I stopped using the Dollar Tree boards. So I highly recommend the Hobby Lobby boards. You just want to make sure that your glue is holding. All right. I like to flip it over also and just continue to press. You probably don't have to because, like I said, the Gorilla Glue is a really good glue. But for me, just to make sure that it's on there properly, I like to do that. Once you have it all glued, it should look like this. You can clean up any glue that seeped out. I recommend that as it's seeping out, once it cools down enough for you to be able to touch it, start wiping it off because you want this seam to be very, very clean, as clean as possible. I mean, you may not get all of the glue off. I never get all of it off, but I get as much as possible. I highly recommend that you make sure that you do that because once you start to paint this thing, that glue shows. So even if you have the little glue spiderweb things, make sure you get those off because when you go to paint it, that paint will show that glue and you don't want that. So once you have it glued on, you want to go on the inside and just put a line of glue. Not a lot, but just enough to secure it. You want to make sure that you have a very nice hold because you're going to be putting merchandise in here and you don't want it to fall apart. All right. And then two, this is a keepsake, so you want it to always stay put together. Once you have that done for one of them, put it to the side, let that glue rest because you don't want to continue to manipulate it unless the glue has been completely solid. All right, so I'm going to start on the top, bottom, whatever, whichever, the second piece, while that other piece has a chance to rest. You're going to repeat the same process. Again, make sure that it's flush. Clean up any glue that's seeping out. Make sure you put a lot of glue on this right here. I'm wiping a lot because I squoze out too much glue. And you don't want to do that because it takes longer to dry and then it'll start sliding around a little bit and then that can lead to um, gappage because that glue will then be too hard for you to press down to keep the gap from forming. Alright, I'm going to try and speed this up because I don't want this to be a long video for you guys. I just want to give you the pointers on how to build this out. And I'm telling you, be ready for be ready for some orders because people think that this thing is real at first glance. And it's mostly men. And every guy who has seen this grill, they thought it was real and they needed to touch it because they couldn't believe that it was foam board. So be ready. I advise that you get your parts of the grill if you're going to make multiples of these or you think you may get a lot of orders. Prep this first, then that way when people start asking you about it, this, what you're seeing me do on camera, is all you have to do because everything would have been cut out and prepped for you. And the beauty is it's not a lot of parts that you need, but it looks like it. So take your other hand and also use it to press it up to make sure that you're not getting any gaps. Take that off. I think I'm squeezing a lot of glue out. I don't know why I'm squeezing so much glue, but if you do it just right, you won't have to wipe as much as I'm wiping. I don't usually have to wipe this much, but just be careful with how much glue that you're using. All right, that's all set. Repeat the process. I'm putting another glue stick in. Glue on the inside. This will also help if you do get some gappage. It'll help seal it. So please make sure you don't skip this step of sealing it on the seams on the inside. All right, so that is done. We're gonna let that one rest and bring back the first one. I did not show because I have to go and get more. See, like I have a spider web, the glue on the inside here. I'm gonna clean that up later before I paint, but you don't want that on there because that will show, and that's not a good look. So, um, but as I was saying, I don't have the paint that I spray painted. I advise spray painting. I've tried to use a brush. I've tried to use cotton balls for the acrylic paint, crafting paint, um, and it's best with spray paint. So get the semi-gloss spray paint. Don't get that liqueur spray paint because that was not a good paint. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that paint, but it did not work for this. So please don't get that. You will be very upset that you put so much work into putting this grill together just to have the paint just botch the whole thing up for you. So semi-gloss paint I have found to be the best paint to cover this. If you find something different that works better, please share. Let me know so I can try it out and see what it looks like. You don't have to just do these grills for Father's Day. I recommend that you continue building them out for 4th of July. People like 4th of July. You can figure out a way to market it for that. They like to buy a whole bunch of 4th of July stuff. So get these things built out because people want them. I took them to work and instantly got 2 orders just walking through the building that I work in. So, and I appreciate everyone who reached out to me on my personal page to get a hold of me. Um, once we were no longer able to continue with the comments on the post. I actually did not plan on doing a template, but because of the reaction from everyone, um, I wanted to be able to share it with everybody. All right. Press, 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 press it down. And that piece is done. It can either be your top piece or your bottom piece, but that's done. So, um, I'm all set. Put that to the side. That will rest while we put this other one together. For anyone who has purchased the template, again, thank you. I am working on making a template for a smaller one because I understand not a lot of people like the larger stuff sometimes. I kind of the same mindset as the vending machines. Um, I personally prefer the larger vending machines, but I understand that people like the smaller ones, and that's fine. They're actually cute, very, very cute, but I prefer the larger ones. So I kind of wanted to follow that same mindset for this because maybe people just want to put a couple of little trinkets in here and not have to worry about filling this thing up. I also have a couple of other ideas um, just to do something a little bit different with this grill. It'll still be built out the same, but just some more wow factor. I've worked it out in my head. I have to test it out to see if it works, and if it does, I will post and share. Because I think there are a lot of things that can be done with this. And once you get good at it, it won't take. I'm really really taking my time with this because I don't want to go speeding through it because I don't want people to miss anything as they're trying to learn how to do it. But once you've done a couple of them, you'll figure out little shortcuts here and there that will allow you to get this built out a lot faster. But just make sure that everything is flush and even. That is the key. All right. So we have both pieces that builds the actual shape of the grill all glued out. All right. The next thing that I do is I put both pieces together. I want to see what my sides look like to make sure that they are even and flush and determine how I'm gonna, which way I'm gonna have it set up. So I'm just gonna twist this around the other way and look to see if that looks better to me than the way that it was sitting the other way. And I kind of like this one. So make sure that you do this a couple of times to determine how you want yours to sit, um, because it's very, very important when it goes to close. Now, don't worry about if you see a gappage in the back or the front. So this is even. I'm going to flip this around. I hope you guys can see it. No, so that didn't work out how I thought. Let me get this even on the side. I'm going to show you. All right, there we go. So how you see this gappage here, don't worry about that because I kind of like when it does do that, um, because it allows you to rest the middle part of your hinge in there, and it just makes it seamless for it to open and close. And even if it looks like that on the other side, I have a solution for that. So don't freak out if you see gappage when you put them together. So I want it this way. All right. So once you've determined where you want it to sit, you will then take your paper towel holder. I don't know why I got like glue or something on this. I don't know what's on here. Um, if you are a crafter that does other things, if you do anything with the tool material with tutus, that that cardboard that's in there in the spools, that works out perfect. That's actually what this is. What I what I've used on all of the grills because I have projects that I have done with tool material. And as crafters, we save everything. So you want to put this. You want to determine where this will get where this will sit because this is your chimney. So you want to figure out where you want this to sit as you have both pieces together. Um, so you know what it will look like when it's all put together. Get your pen and just trace around the shape of it. All right. And you want to do this before you start putting the whole thing together because it is a lot easier to um, cut it. Drop my blade. It's a lot easier to cut it um, before you put it together. So, and because you have your slits in there, it will feel like this thing is going to go all the way through. Just don't be aggressive with it. Try and get your blade in there and like lean it back to let the blade cut. Let the blade do most of the work. And that's where a very sharp blade is best. I've done a lot of cutting with this blade, and it's probably time for me to go ahead and break that tip off because this thing should be cutting through like butter. There we go. Like I said, be very, very, very careful. You see how that's just falling down in there? That's because of the slits that we cut in it. And this thing just wants to do what it wants to do. Don't worry about that. You can always go on the inside and finish it out. Just be careful that you're not tearing up the board itself. Because again, flaws show when you get it spray painted. That goes in the trash. And there is your hole for your chimney. clean this up a little bit. I don't know how I got stuff on here. It's the glue that was on there that's kind of like catching stuff. So definitely don't want to paint over stuff that's been caught on here. There we go. A little bit more. I don't know. It's on my desk and just caught a lot of stuff that was on there because the glue is still on there for holding the tool on there. All right, so that's cleaned up as much as I can get it. What you want to do now is take some glue, go around the perimeter of the hole you just cut out, so your chimney will be secure in there. Just be careful because you don't want to have glue dripping all down in there and on the inside of it. So you want to get that in there. I'm going to flip this over and show you. You want just a small little lip, nothing too huge. And then once you have it placed in there, you want to take your glue gun and go around the perimeter of the shape and glue it to secure it in there. Again, be very careful with how you get your glue in there. I mean, you can put a lot, just make sure that it's neat. So when you go to spray paint, it doesn't show. And my hole isn't as even as I would have liked it, but we are gonna make this work. All right. Once you have done that on the inside, you're gonna repeat the process on the outside of it, the outside perimeter. And this is just to make sure that it stays secure. Again, please do not skip any of the steps. I'm showing you everything that I've done through trial and error. Like the very first one, I didn't do um, this step on the inside, and once that spray paint hit, that thing said whoop right on the inside because there was nothing there to secure it. All right. Just wipe this, make it even a little bit. All right. So that is done. Now, the hinge that I have here, like I said, I started out with smaller hinges from Amazon, and because I was trying to get this tutorial together for you guys last night, I didn't have any more of those, and these were the only ones that I had. And I kind of like it. I think I may switch to start using these instead of the smaller ones, but it just depends on what your preference is. Um, when you go to put this on, you see how it doesn't go, it won't go any further than that. You want to open it up like this, and you want to glue your hinge with these two sides on the back of it like that. Don't glue it that way because what will happen is when you open it up, oh wait, it closes all the way. So let me do that again. So it's open. You want to make sure that it's that way. That way when it opens, top opens, it stops like that. If you glue it the other way and the top opens, it's going to go all the way down. So you don't want that to happen. So now you're ready to put your hinges on. You just want to go ahead and put it back together. I should have labeled where I wanted it. Now I don't remember how I had it set. I think that's it. Let me just try it and see. That's it. All right, that's it. I'm gonna just turn it this way because I want my chimney on that side. All right. Yep, that's how I want it. All right. So I have the back facing me. Again, don't be nervous about the small opening. That's fine. And I'm going to take my hinge. You're going to put one on each side in the back. But before you go to glue anything, you want to place your hinge where you want it. And then the holes of the hinge you want to trace onto the grill itself. And repeat that on the other side. Kind of moving this thing. You want to make sure that your holes are even on the top and bottom, and I'll show you here in a second. Alright, so this is what you want it to look like. You have circles for the holes for all of them. After you've done that, you want to take something and get a hole in there. I'm using a pen, but you can use a screwdriver or something, anything that will punch the hole in there. I do have a hole puncher. Maybe on one of these I'll try that. But you want to get a hole in all of the circles that you traced out because we are not using any nails or screws. The only hardware that we're using on this is the hinge itself. All right, so now you have all of your holes. when you go to put your hinge on, let me show you before I do that. When you want to go and put your hinge on, again, get it set the way that you want it. Go ahead and put some glue on just one of them first. Put it on, let it start to harden, and then put your glue here and then glue it that way. And repeat that for both sides. I only have one of these, so I won't be able to show you guys um, me putting this on there, but I will walk you through it because I want you to be able to know how to do it. So your hinge will be on. Your hinge will be on. Once the glue has dried, put both of them on first. Once the glue has dried, you then want to take your glue gun and glue a little bit of glue in all of the holes. Don't let it bubble over because what's going to happen is that glue is going to go down into your grill and you don't want that. You just want to put a little bit in the hole for each one. And what we're doing is building out a fake um, screw, nail, or whatever. I just didn't want to put real nails or screws on here because I didn't want this thing to rip using that type of stuff and just making it heavy when it with it opening and closing. I tried to make sure that we are using as light material as possible to not have this thing fall apart on us. So put a little bit in each hole, let that start to harden, and then once you are done, open this thing up because now it will be a whole piece. Open it up in the holes on the inside, put more glue, but let it bubble over a little bit to make it appear that it's the head of a screw or a nail. And I actually have one built out so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is the inside of one that I already have. You see how it's bubbled here? So after you put the little bit of glue on the inside the first time, let it harden up, and then it will be easier to form these bubbles. And then once these have started to harden, keep this thing open while that glue is wet so the shape will stay as the bubble. You don't want it to start running. And then once that has hardened, you want to repeat the same thing on the outside. When this thing is painted, you cannot tell that this is glue. I had so many people touch it and say, I cannot believe that those are not screws. So that is how you put that together. And once you get that together, it is the only thing left is to put your legs on. So when you go to put your legs on, I recommend that you grab something to put in the middle of the bottom of your grill because you want it to sit. You want it to sit on top of whatever it is. I don't know what I did with my I had I don't know what I did with it. But oh, here it is. So this is what I'm using to put my grill. I just set that there. I put the grill on top of it. I make sure that it is centered and in the middle and it's not rocking. And then after that, what I do is I take my legs um, and I am placing them feet down, feet down on my desk or on the mat that I'm working off of, feet down because I want to make sure that both sides have the feet down and even and flush with whatever it's going to be sitting on or standing on. And just having something up under it to stabilize it works best. Make sure you're looking at the sides and that your seams are even with the desk. They're not like lopsided or anything like that. They're even and flush. And then what you want to do is you want to take your legs and you want to glue it right about here. You want to be able to see some of the grill on the inside. And the reason why I do that is because I then stick some glue down in there. I try and find ways to make sure that this thing is as secure as possible. So that is where that will be placed. And once you have done all of that, I'm going to bring this other one back. Once you've done that, your legs should look like this. And then you just stick a little bit of glue on the inside there. And then this thing will stand on its own. All right. So the last step is to get your handle on. And that's where the dowel and the two small little squares come into play. You just take your squares, you take your dowel, make sure that these are even because sometimes they're not even. There it is. Sometimes these aren't even and it doesn't allow the thing to sit flush. So you put a dollop of glue on the square, you put your dowel on there, and just use your finger to make sure that both ends are even as the glue dries. There you go. And you will repeat the process for the other one. So that is dry. Well, it's sticking, I should say. Let me see if this is. Yep, that makes sense. So what you also want to cut out is a strip about this you know this size. Let me clean this up. This is what happens. You see how I'm cleaning that up? That's what happens when your blade is getting dull. You don't want that to happen. So make sure that your blade is always sharp. And when it starts to cut like this, it's time to break that piece off to expose some more of the sharpness. So you want to have a piece like this because you're going to glue your handle on here in the middle. And then once this is dry and they're both sticking, you'll then take all of this and you will glue this to the front of your grill here, but you want it to hang over a little bit. So you don't want to put it even flush here like this. You want this to be a little bit like this. And what this does is it closes any of the gappage that may happen. And it actually looks pretty sweet when you put it together that way. And you're closing the front of it so you don't see anything in the front when that's there. And, off of the one that is already put together, I'll show you what it looks like. So that is what that looks like. You shouldn't see any gappage here. So once you get this piece on here, guess what? Your grill is done. You are done. You can go around and do some touch-ups with some glue. I do, and I didn't do that for this one. I do go and put a small stream of glue around the inside of the legs on both sides just to make sure that it's secure. But I believe with the larger legs, you'll have way more security, so it may or may not be needed. And that is it. That is how you put together one of the grills. And then once your glue is all dry, you're then ready to take it outside and spray paint it. I can't do that now because it is dark here where I am, so I can't go outside and spray paint it and walk you guys through that. But that is how you put your grill together. So once you guys start putting your stuff together, share it. I want to see what your projects look like and if you put any tweaks on it. Thank you so much.